Denver, man of news here. Last week we learned that the Bible is true and trustworthy. We learned that the empires had taken over. The Israelites were living in many places, and that King Nebuchadnezzar's name is hard to spell. This week we're talking about Ezra and Nehemiah. Sunday school lady, what can you tell us about Ezra and Nehemiah?
I'm getting there. Just like Assyria, Babylon's empire didn't last forever. Of course, God knew what was going to happen next and announced it through his prophet Isaiah.
He's the one who announced the Messiah.
For unto us a
We already
child.
sang that one.
Sorry.
Through his prophets Isaiah and Jeremiah, God told the Israelites they would be in exile for 70 years until a new king came into power who would free them. God even told Isaiah the new king's name, Cyrus.
That's very specific.
Some of God's messages about the future were very specific. This is one of them.
Sure enough, about 70 years after the first Israelites were carried into exile, the Persians conquered Babylon, and the new Persian Empire was born, the biggest empire the world had ever seen. And most amazingly, the Persian king's name was Cyrus.
That's amazing.
Well, it's only amazing if we believe the prophecies were made before Cyrus took over. If the prophecies were made up afterward, everyone would know the king's name. How do we know the prophecy came first?
First, we believe the prophecy came first because the Bible says so, and we trust the Bible. Looking outside the Bible, though, first-century Jewish historian Josephus tells us that King Cyrus had actually read Isaiah's prophecy and was so amazed that Isaiah's God knew about him that he made sure to do exactly what the prophecy said he would do.
Whoa, that's pretty freaky.
What's this have to do with Ezra and Nehemiah?
The books of Ezra and Nehemiah tell the story of the Israelites coming back to Judah and rebuilding Jerusalem.
The exile is over, and God gives the Israelites another chance to be true to him.
The book of Ezra starts with King Cyrus telling the Israelites they can go home and rebuild God's temple. Then the first bunch travels back to Judah, led by...
Don't tell me, boy Ezra.
No, Sheshbazzar.
Shishma who?
Sheshbazzar. He was one of the leaders of the Israelites in exile.
Well, who's Ezra then?
We'll get to him in a bit. Cyrus tells them they can go home in 538 BC, and 3 years later, after a whole lot of planning and a whole lot of walking, Sheshbazzar and about 50,000 Israelites arrive back in Jerusalem.
Hooray!
That must have been awesome.
It was, but they had a lot of work to do.
I bet they did. After 70 years, their houses must have been really dusty.
They had to rebuild their homes, but even more important was rebuilding God's temple.
That's right. The temple was the place where God revealed his glory, the place where the people could meet God and worship him with their offerings and sacrifices. Nothing was more important than rebuilding the temple. Oh, they're breaking new ground now.